So Simon Sinek's book, Leaders Eat Last, has this one simple but kind of radical idea. The best leaders, they don't prioritize the numbers. They prioritize their people. And look, this isn't just some feel-good management theory. It's actually wired directly into our biology. Let's dig into how it all works.
Okay, so this quote, wow, it comes from an A-10 Warthog pilot, call sign Johnny Bravo. He said this to explain a decision he made on a pitch-black night in Afghanistan, a decision that put his own life on the line for guys he'd never even met.
I want you to picture this scene. It's chaos. You've got 22 soldiers pinned down, taking heavy enemy fire from all directions. They are completely surrounded, and things are looking really, really bad. Their only lifeline is air support.
And that's where Johnny Bravo is, right? He's circling way up high in his attack aircraft, totally ready to help. But there's a huge problem. A thick layer of clouds is completely blocking its view. He can hear the absolute panic in their voices on the radio, but he can't see them, and he can't see the enemy. Johnny Bravo's choice in that one moment, it really gets to the core question of this entire book. What truly drives a person to make the ultimate sacrifice for their team?
I mean, look at the options he had. They were impossible. To help them, he'd have to dive his jet below the cloud cover, into a narrow valley, guided only by some old, outdated Soviet-era maps. The risk of flying straight into a mountain wall was just incredibly high. The only other choice? Leave 22 men to die.
And he did it. He dove. He put himself in mortal danger to protect his team. And this is the fundamental question Sinek wants to answer. What kind of environment creates that insane level of trust and commitment? Why would anyone do that?
Well, the answer is something Sinek calls the circle of safety. It's a really powerful idea. Basically, when a leader makes the people inside their own organization feel safe from internal stuff like office politics, layoffs, or being humiliated, that group can stop fighting each other and finally work together to face the real threats outside.
But here's the kicker. This isn't just a management fad or some feel-good poster on the wall. The reason the circle of safety works so well is because of the chemical reactions that are happening inside our own brains. You see, our bodies are chemically designed to reward us with these feelings of happiness and satisfaction whenever we do things that are good for our survival, not just as individuals, but as a group. Sinek breaks these chemicals down into two basic categories. First, you've got the selfish chemicals. These are all about me, my survival, my accomplishments. And then you have the selfless chemicals, which are all about us, our trust, and our ability to cooperate. Dopamine? That's that awesome little rush you get when you cross something off your to-do list or hit a big target. Endorphins? They're what allow a marathon runner to push through the pain barrier. These are super important for getting things done, but they're solo acts. They don't build relationships. And then you've got the selfless chemicals. Serotonin is that deep feeling of pride we get when our boss or our parents say, "I'm proud of you." It reinforces that leader-follower bond. And oxytocin? That's the big one. It's the chemical of deep trust and friendship. It's what's released through acts of generosity or even just a handshake. It's basically the glue that holds our teams and our whole society together. So, here's the crucial point. When leaders go out of their way to build that circle of safety, they are literally creating an environment where these selfless chemicals, serotonin and oxytocin, can thrive. They're biologically engineering a team that trusts each other on a deep human level. But on the flip side, when we feel threatened by our boss, by our coworkers, by the constant fear of layoffs, our body releases cortisol. This is our fight or flight chemical. It floods our system with anxiety and, crucially, it inhibits the production of oxytocin. You literally cannot have deep trust and paralyzing fear at the same time. So that brings us to the central problem of the modern workplace, right? If this whole system is so natural and so powerful, what on earth are we doing that breaks it and fills our offices with cortisol instead of oxytocin?
Sinek argues that the main culprit is something he calls destructive abstraction. It's what happens when leaders become so disconnected, so far removed from the people they're supposed to be leading, that those people just become numbers on a spreadsheet.
To really get this, let's look at the famous, or maybe infamous, Milgram experiment from back in 1961. You had volunteers who were told by a guy in a lab coat to give increasingly powerful electric shocks to another person in a different room every single time they got a question wrong. The results were just horrifying. A staggering 65% of people were willing to deliver what they thought was a potentially lethal shock simply because an authority figure told them to. That physical distance, that abstraction, made it so much easier to inflict pain.
Now, just apply that to a modern company. What happens when a CEO is sitting in some high-rise office tower looking at a spreadsheet and decides to lay off 10,000 people just to make a quarterly number look good? They are completely abstracted from the human pain of that decision.
And the consequences are everywhere, right? This abstract leadership leads to decisions that always prioritize short-term numbers over long-term human well-being. The circle of safety completely shatters, cortisol spikes, and trust just evaporates.
So how do we fix this? Well, the best leaders actively fight against abstraction. They make it their mission to lead actual human beings, not just manage numbers on a page.
A fantastic real-world example is Costco. Their whole philosophy is that if you take care of your people, they will take care of the business. They pay well above minimum wage, and what happens? They have incredibly low employee turnover compared to their competitors who are obsessed with maximizing shareholder value above everything else.
This quote from Costco's co-founder just says it all, doesn't it? Real leadership isn't about making a quick buck between now and next Tuesday. It's about building something that lasts. And the only way you can do that is by creating a strong, stable circle of safety for your people.
And all this leaves us with a final, really important question to think about. Consider your own workplace, your own teams, even your family. Is a circle of safety being built around you? And maybe just as important, are you helping to build one for others?